Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Arrival dissects the Philadelphia Eagles. What goes into a Rookie of the Year campaign? And we get an inside look at Aaron Rodgers from a guy who caught passes from him last season. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the official sports book of Locked On. Make every moment more. Go to FanDuel.com/Locked On to get started.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
All right, we're out here at Radio Row Super Bowl 57. It's the Chiefs and the Eagles, and I'm here with the most recognizable man on Radio Row right now because of the big hat. The big hat trend starter, Brian Robinson Jr. And Brian, I got to ask you about the big hat because everyone's asking you about the big hat. When you put it on the first time, did you have any idea this is where we'd be and it'd be crazy?
I had no idea. I was honestly just joking. I was literally just playing around in the locker room. But I did put it on at a serious time where it was kind of like some important eyes on me at the time. So they was probably kind of wondering why I was in a joke, joking around and playing with the big hat at a serious time. But that's my personality though. That's who I am. I be serious, but I be playing at the same time. Just to let people know, open up sometimes, even in the most important, most serious times. Sometimes it's cool to be yourself and open up. So I wore this when they gave me my game ball after my first 100-yard game. I came in the circle with the big hat on. I just thought it was funny, and just so people could see, that not only, I go out and perform and do everything to make sure I perform at a high level, but I still be myself and show personality, even when I'm being recognized for, playing well. So.
You mentioned it was a serious time for you. You went through as serious an ordeal as you can go through with the armed robbery. You were shot. At any point, were you I don't know if I'm going to get to play football again?
After the incident happened, I just had that whole night before I had talked to the doctors, to get information, based on what I was going to have to do. And once they, brought the information to me, obviously it was I can't even explain that feeling, but it was probably that first night in the hospital. I really didn't know. I didn't know where things were going. Then the next day, I got information, and I've been going since.
What was it like to be back on the practice field for the first time, to understand where you had come from to this moment?
I mean, it was a great feeling. For weeks and weeks, I was working, doing everything literally in my power to, give myself an opportunity to, just get back out there. I didn't really care how long it had took. I didn't put no timetable on it. I didn't care if it took 2, 4, 6. It didn't matter. I was just, doing everything I needed to do to, give myself, a chance. And I felt like I did that, and I'm good.
Did you ever have a moment where you were like, I don't want this thing to define my career. I don't want this to be the thing I'm known for. I want it to be for what I do on the field.
Right. Obviously not. I worked so hard, extremely hard. My whole entire life to just play in the NFL. Staying away from trouble and violence and gun violence and stuff back where I'm from, and then to be the victim and attack just on a random attack and almost end my career that I worked so hard for before it even start. It's crazy. It's traumatic, but to be able to live on and continue to walk in my shoes and be able to tell this story one day is what make it even special.
So you had the opportunity to play against the Eagles twice this season, at least your team did. And so, what makes Philly so tough?
They're they're a tough team. You let them get momentum and get going, they're hard to stop. You can't stop them once they get going. So. They're a very high momentum team. If you let them get to rolling, they will roll over you.
And so what do you think Kansas City can do to stop that from happening?
I think they can stop that from happening by, extending their time possessions on the field and, keeping Patrick Mahomes on the field as long as they possibly can to put up as many points as they can to just kind of slow down the momentum of Philadelphia offense when they get going.
Stay up to date on the Washington Commanders by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Commanders on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Coming up, Aiden Hutchinson tells us what goes into a Rookie of the Year campaign. But first, a crazy busy trade deadline in the NBA.
This year, the only app you need for your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America. It's FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. You can do this all on the FanDuel Sportsbook app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
And just like that, the championship era in Brooklyn came to an abrupt and disappointing end. I'm Adam Arbrook with the Locked On Nets podcast, and in the wee hours of the trade deadline morning, the Brooklyn Nets made their second franchise-altering move, this time, though, sending the crown jewel, Kevin Durant, out the door on his way to the Phoenix Suns. Now, in exchange for the superstar talent, the Brooklyn Nets are getting back quite a haul. First-round picks in 2023, 25, 27, and 29, in addition to a 2028 pick swap. They'll also be gaining Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Jay Crowder. Along for the ride with Kevin Durant to Arizona is TJ Warren, and it's already been speculated that the Brooklyn Nets will be looking for a trade partner to ultimately move Jay Crowder ahead of the 3 p.m. deadline. Now, in the wake of this franchise-altering news, I can certainly sit here and tell you that Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, Mikal Bridges, and Cam Johnson can be a great new nucleus with a bright future ahead in Brooklyn. But ultimately, this is about one of the most disappointing runs for a franchise that had the highest of championship aspirations. To show for it, one playoff victory, a lot of picks, some young players, and right now in this moment, no more superstars. Be sure to be plugged into the Locked On Nets podcast. We'll be breaking down all the latest trade news around these Brooklyn Nets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.
Trades. The LA Clippers were active at the trade deadline, and they did exactly what I wanted. I can't believe it. The Clippers finally have a backup big man, and guess what? He was a starting center this year. Mason Plumlee coming to LA, the guy who was the starting center of the 2016 Blazers that knocked the Clippers out. Still serviceable, can get rebounds, can pass the ball. Oh, man, what a great move at the expense of Reggie Jackson, who I've been saying needs to get traded, but I have so much to say about Reggie and his tenure with the Clippers. Also, John Wall going to Houston. Eric Gordon, an original Clipper drafted by the franchise in 2008, is coming back, and maybe the toughest loss, though, for the Clips in this one, Luke Kennard being traded to Memphis. Clippers trading 2 second-round picks to the Denver Nuggets for Bones Highland. Young, exciting scorer. Going to be talking about all these moves on Locked On Clippers.
Josh Hart is a Knick, and the Cam Reddish saga is over in New York. Alex Wolf here from Locked On Knicks, and the Knicks give up Cam Reddish and a protected first-round pick, their own first-round pick this year, protected in the lottery. Otherwise, it conveys as 4 second-round picks, most likely going to convey as a mid to late first-round pick this year. So not exactly a small price for Josh Hart, but Josh Hart is a proven NBA-ready rotation player. He's shooting his worst from 3 this year, which you hope can improve, but otherwise he does all the things that you want on an NBA court, and certainly all the things that Tom Thibodeau values in a player. He's going to play defense. He's going to push the pace. He's going to rebound the heck out of the ball. He's one of the best rebounders for a guard in the NBA. So pretty great player to bring in. The price may be too high, maybe not. I guess we'll see. And is this the Knicks' last move? That we'll also see, and we'll have more for you on Locked On Knicks.
After months of speculation, the Bucks finally get their man. Jay Crowder is coming to Milwaukee. My name's Kane Pittman. I'm the host of the Locked On Bucks podcast. Jay Crowder, also a former Marquette man, so he is familiar with the area. Comes to Milwaukee as they make their push for a title. George Hill, Serge Ibaka, Jordan Nwora on the way out, along with 5 second-round picks. Now, that is a lot. But across the league at the deadline, we saw second-round picks getting thrown around like they're nothing. So overall, a pretty good deal for the Bucks. It gives them defensive versatility. Remember, they might be on a collision course for a series with the Boston Celtics, and you can't get enough defensive wings that can go up against a guy like Jason Tatum and also Jaylen Brown. Last year, they did not have Chris Middleton, they didn't have Joe Ingles, and they didn't have Jay Crowder. So that's a little bit of added size for this team in a potential matchup with the Boston Celtics. We're going to break down this trade, including 2 open roster spots for the Bucks now as a result on Locked On Bucks, wherever you get your podcast. Join us.
This is Philip Rossman, the host of Locked On Magic, as the Orlando Magic make a deal that I think we all expected to be made. It was something that we actually saw on the horizon for a while now, a deal that's been pitched around, and sometimes the most obvious answer is the obvious one. The Orlando Magic are trading Mo Bamba to the Los Angeles Lakers for Pat Beverly, as well as a second-round pick. Now, honestly, I thought this was Terrence Ross at the beginning because the Lakers certainly do still need some shooting. They also need a big man. So the Orlando Magic get off Mo Bamba, who's been out of the rotation for a good chunk of the season now that Mo Wagner's back, now that Wendell Carter's back, and gives them a veteran point guard, although I suspect that the Magic will buy out Pat Beverly. They'll just take that second-round pick and eventually maybe even promote Kevon Harris from a two-way contract to a full-time contract to give them that tough-minded guard that Pat Beverly is for this team. Beverly obviously would help a winning team a lot more than he might help the Magic, so this feels like an economic trade, one that opens up a ton of cap room, $10 million for the Magic this offseason.
We are here, Radio Row, Super Bowl week, Super Bowl 57. It is the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. I am here with Pepsi Rookie of the Year, Aiden Hutchinson, Detroit Lions, defensive end, outside linebacker, pass rusher, wherever you want to line him up. He's going to go hunt the quarterback.
Hell yeah.
And you are holding a big, heavy trophy.
Yep.
Tell me about Pepsi Zero Sugar.
I'm actually partnering up with Pepsi Zero Sugar and Carnival Cruises, and they're gifting me a cruise for this offseason and to go with a +1. So that's going to be freaking awesome. But the award in and of itself is so amazing. The fans voted for this, and I just want to give a thank you to all the fans out there, man, who voted for me and put in their time and to get me this award. So I'm so blessed, and I felt like I did things on the field to get me this award too. So I'm grateful.
You had some rare statistics.
I'm putting it down.
I love it. You had some rare statistical achievements this year. A couple of interceptions,
yeah.
Of course, a bunch of sacks. As a defender, what's the best of those? Forced fumble, interception. What feels the best? Sack fumble's pretty good.
I would say sack fumble, but the interception is a different feeling. It's a different kind of feeling. I never had an interception before this year, so it was amazing. I'd say interception is one of the coolest feelings, but sacks is one of the most gratifying.
Wait, are you telling me your first ever interception was that Aaron Rodgers?
First ever against Aaron Rodgers. Yep.
What was did you get to the sideline and go, oh my God, that just happened?
I didn't even know what happened. I honestly, I'm still processing it. I can't believe I have an interception against Aaron Rodgers. It's wild.
What it seemed like in the second half, offensively you guys took off.
Yeah.
But defensively, I think kind of quietly, you guys locked in a little bit. It was some rookies getting the job done, especially rushing the passer. And then, in that Week 18 game at Lambeau Field, that was maybe your best defensive performance of the season. What changed for you guys?
We're a young team, and we're growing up throughout the whole season. And by the end of it, it was like we were hitting that point, that peak with all our performances, and we were all firing on the same cylinder. So it was great.
What is Dan Campbell? We know that the tough guy stuff, the rah-rah stuff, the run through a wall stuff. What can you tell me about Dan Campbell that might surprise me?
What you see is what you get with Dan Campbell. It's pretty.
That does not surprise me.
It's legit. It's legit. That's Hard Knocks Dan Campbell. That's Dan Campbell for you. He's like that every single day. That same intensity.
Last thing, what is it going to take for Detroit to get over the hump and get into? Could have been a playoff team this year, pretty close to getting there. What is it going to take to get to that next level?
Consistency. We showed we were a playoff team this year. Didn't make it in. We got to do it the whole season next year, and we'll get in. No, we should.
Stay up to date on the Detroit Lions all season with Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Lions on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Coming up, we get the inside scoop on Aaron Rodgers.
Looking for all the deliciousness you want from a snack without the fat and calories? Then you got to try Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal was to eat a little healthier this year. And if you're like me, you want to eat healthier, but you don't want to compromise taste. And that's where Built Bar comes in. It is my go-to. Whether I'm running out the door to go run an errand, or whether I'm going to work out, or whether I'm coming back from working out, or whether I am just hungry and want something that is not going to make me feel guilty for eating it and guilty for enjoying it. That is a key thing, because these things are the truth when it comes to delicious factor. 100% real chocolate with flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut, almond, all the puff flavors. Like the brownie batter is crazy. The coconut puff is out of this world. And it's only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein. I need to restock them right now. Like as soon as I finish reading this, I have to go to Built.com and order more. But you don't have to just go to Built.com. You go to Walmart or Sam's Club. I'm a little busy. I can't get there over the next couple of days. So I'm going to go to Built.com. But you can go to Walmart. Just do your regular shopping, or Sam's Club, your regular shopping, and grab a Built Bar today. And you can thank me later.
We're here, Super Bowl Radio Row in Phoenix, Super Bowl 57, the Chiefs and the Eagles. I'm here with Green Bay Packers receiver Christian Watson. And Christian, second half of the season, it seemed like things started to, I don't know if it was slow down or what was the difference for you as you really took off in this Packers offense?
I think for me, it was really just kind of setting myself free and letting go of, the ups and the downs of the past and kind of just, having that confidence level, rise and just keep it where it was at. I think once I was able to play free and just do my thing and just be the player that I knew I could be, I think it was kind of wraps at that point. For me, it was really just getting that confidence level up and just, regardless of, the outcome of, any play, any practice, just knowing that, I can do this and, I can compete against these guys and just go forward and just be me.
I hate to do this to you, but I talked to your mom and she said Christian would never admit it, but what happened in week 1, that first play, it had to have affected him. I know it affected him. I'll ask you flat out, how did it affect you?
For me, it was more so just it was a play that I obviously knew I could make. A play that I had made hundreds, maybe thousands of times in my life. Whether that's practice or just just throwing the ball around. That was pretty much pitch and catch at that point. Wide open. Free touchdown for me. For me, I was really just disappointed in myself because, that was obviously, my debut. Obviously want to show the world who I am. I don't think that's, who I am. So, that was obviously, tough to start that way.
I think it's easier to see in the NBA when a guy has a rookie season and he goes, all right, I'm gonna get in the lab in the offseason. I'm gonna add this to my game. I'm gonna add this to my game. When we come back the next year and we see, oh, he's got that turnaround jumper now. He's got that post game now. I think it's harder in football because we don't always see it in obvious ways. What do you feel like you need to add to your game to get it to where you want to be?
For me, I think it's just a few nuances, in my route running and creating separation. I want to focus on the beginning and the end of my route. That's releases, and then just creating separation. Keeping my shoulders square. Running down the field, tracking the ball. And then just consistency with catching. Regardless of how many or how good you are at catching, there's always room to improve. Just make it kind of like clockwork. For me, the jugs machine is going to be huge. And then just working on those releases and just finding more ways to create separation down the field.
Late in the season, we saw you more in the slot, and a lot of time as the third man in on a trip side. What does that allow you to do, and what does that bring to the Packers offense?
I feel like it just opens things up a little bit more. It makes them have to bring more guys out to cover everybody. Obviously from the 3 or the 2 spot. Obviously there's more crossing routes that I could be doing. Taking the top off the middle. I just think that it is able to open me up in ways. Creating mismatches. Whether that's a linebacker. Hopefully obviously that's the plan every time if you get a linebacker on me. But whether that's a safety, nickel. Versus obviously having those speedier, more technical guys on the outside. And I feel like it just opens things up for our offense a little more.
So early in the season, you were playing when you before the injury. You were playing, but it seemed like a limited role, a lot of jet sweeps and a lot of clearouts where you're not the number one option. But then Aaron Rodgers, he goes on TV and says, Christian's open. I'm watching the tape. He's getting open. Unfortunately, you have the injury, but then you come back and it's like, okay, now he's going to be a major part of the offense. And Matt LaFleur says in a press conference, we think Christian can do everything that he needs to in this offense. Did something change, do you think? Did you feel a difference between the first half and the second half of the season, whether it was in practice or whatever it was?
I think for me, it was more so just building that confidence up with 12 and the coaches and my teammates. Obviously I didn't participate in training camp and missed out on a lot of reps to build that confidence up and kind of have that, camaraderie with the guys. I think as I was able to, get more reps with 12 and get more reps in the offense, I was able to obviously, show everybody who I was and the type of player I was and the plays that I was able to make. Once that confidence was there in me, I think I got a lot more opportunity.
I know that the answer that you're supposed to give is it doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to catch from whoever I get the ball from. But do you have to be paying attention to what's going on with the quarterback situation in Green Bay, because it's a big deal? I think it's a big deal for sure. Obviously, love Jordan. I think he's a great player. And I also love 12, and I would obviously love to continue playing with him. But obviously that's obviously I tap into it every now and then if there's some truth to what's being said on the social media, and not just opinions or assumptions. But at the end of the day, that's above me. So I'm just going to control what I can control and work on myself this offseason, and whatever unfolds. All right, Christian, just you and me. Forget about the camera. Who's going to be the quarterback?
Like I said, that's above me. It's above me. I have no clue. I'm just doing me.
And stay up to date all year on the Green Bay Packers by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today, and of course, Locked On Packers on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Go find your favorite team's Locked On podcast and make them your second listen. Coming up on Monday, we will crown a new Super Bowl champion. Or one will have been crowned. We'll talk about it on Monday's show. So at least until tomorrow, stay Locked On Sports Today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on Sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.